Hi everyone and welcome to CBC Live at TIFF. I'm Jamie Ardolis and we are streaming live on day 6 of the Toronto International Film Festival from one of its centers, the Intercontinental Hotel, where all the stars are talking film with people like CBC News' Deanna Sumanak, who's joining me here today. Your team has been talking to just the biggest, brightest stars of the festival, filmmakers, celebrities.
Absolutely. We've got it all covered.
But you took a little jaunt over to the CCMA.
I did.
A little jaunt across the country. What was that like?
I like to call this City Mouse, Country Mouse expedition. I was at the CCMA Awards, the Canadian Country Music Association Awards in Saskatoon, which CBC was the proud broadcaster of this weekend. I have to tell you, I mean, my background is in music. I used to produce a live music segment. Musicians are a little easier going than film stars. I find that the biggest of music stars, let's say Bono or Bruce Springsteen, are still somehow more approachable than even like a medium film star. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's the fact that they play to an audience every night.
Might
so there's,
be.
you know, there's more of an immediate connection with people who brought you your fame and money.
Absolutely.
Or maybe it's, I have no idea what it is.
Might be those late nights of jamming.
You just feel like when you meet a musician, you feel like you could go for a beer afterwards, and some people did that this weekend at the CCMAs. It was so much fun. You know, Johnny Reid, one of the nicest guys in Canadian country music, gave me and my co-host, Tom Power.
And tell me about Taylor Swift, though, actually, because that's who I really want to hear about.
It's funny, you and I are wearing black and white now. For Taylor interview, she was wearing white, and I was wearing black. I feel like we're kind of like in the Lewis Carroll black and white queens now, you know. Taylor was amazing. I've had a privilege of meeting her a few years ago. I've found her a lot more comfortable in her skin now, maybe a little more confident. I was asking her questions about writing about those relationships and all those bad boyfriends, and she seemed a lot more at ease answering those questions. I just feel like she has grasped this fame thing and knows how to wield it a lot more, I don't want to say more gracefully, because she was always graceful, but more confidently.
She's older now, and you learn,
so
right? How can we watch your interview with her?
It's available right now on cbc.ca/arts or cbcmusic.ca. You can watch the entire unedited interview. So not just the version that got on the national, but the whole interview.
I can't wait. All right, so we're going to get you back into the swing of things immediately. You look ready. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
So today on our show, we're going to be talking about Terrence Malick, his film To the Wonder, which debuted last night. The best of TIFF star style. And Bill Murray as FDR on the carpet of Hyde Park on the Hudson. And we have a great guest, Rob Stewart. He is the director of...
Shark Guy.
Yes, the director of Sharkwater, which was hugely impactful, and he has a new film, Revolution. He's not just trying to save sharks, he's trying to save humanity. So he's going to come and maybe tell us how to help him do that. All right, red carpet roundup. What were the big carpets last night?
The big ones were for Hyde Park on Hudson. We talked about Bill Murray, of course. I feel like people are really rediscovering him now, you know, like he's having that second start of his career, not unlike Bruce Willis a few nights ago at the Looper. It's like people have kind of wisened up to, hey, Bill Murray's really cool, you know.
And so Laura Thompson was on that red carpet for CBC News, and she said that a fan handed him a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man when he arrived to greet the fans, much to their
For those of us who grew up in the 80s, this, of course, is from Ghostbusters.
He ditched the movie, he ditched the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man before getting on the carpet to talk about the movie, but Laura did have a conversation with him. He plays FDR in Hyde Park on the Hudson, and so he told her what it was like to become FDR for this film, which is not FDR in the White House, it's FDR in his own element. So let's check that out.
Great.
A lot of reading, you know, I mean, what we sort of ordinarily, you know, acquire about Roosevelt. I need to know a lot more about what he was like with his family and his wife, and what he was like at home, because our movie's really about FDR and his home turf, not in the White House and not on the political stump or anything. So I tried to figure out what he was like at home, and really a lot about how he worked professionally, because he really was an expert professionally. He really was a career politician and 4 times elected president of the United States. That's a pretty big deal. They don't do that. They don't let people do that any longer. But so, and I read a lot about the people involved, the characters in it. So mostly reading and really trying to let the voice of upstate New York, that particular kind of sound that he made, you know, get in my body, and then I tried to just relax.
It's Delightful man.
Delightful man, dressed far less kookily than before.
I know you love this con outfit.
You like the mixing of patterns. I've seen this movie. I was obviously not on red carpet last night. I was still flying in from Saskatoon. I thought it was charming. I thought it was historically slight. I mean, as a history geek, I think it's a bit of an overstatement to say that it was the friendship between FDR and King George VI that made the U.S. enter World War II. Historians would say it had to do with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So I thought that there were some things that were overstated historically in the movie, but that was not the point of the movie. I mean, this film is directed by Roger Mitchell, best known for Notting Hill, film that I have to admit I love. I've seen it a million times. All girls love Notting Hill. And it had that charm. I mean, it read like a romantic comedy, and so much of it was centered on the relationship between FDR and his distant cousin Margaret Suckley.
So it is a love story.
It is a love story
as well. I did enjoy the charming exchanges of British and American culture.
Absolutely.
But yeah, for a history buff looking for in-depth analysis of their relationship, that's not what you're going to get. Did you like Bill Murray as FDR? Last thing.
Loved Bill Murray as FDR. I think it's Academy-worthy performance. It's such a departure.
Are you calling this now?
I'm calling this now. I think that he's had such good performances in the last few years in Lost in Translation, in all those Wes Anderson films. I think that Academy has him on their mind. This might be the year that he's going to get nominated. Calling it right now, September 11th, 2012.
Okay. I won't bet against you because I also did enjoy him. The other major red carpet last night was Antiviral, a Canadian film.
Homeboy.
Brandon Cronenberg. Yep. Have you gotten a chance to interview Brandon yet?
I have not gotten a chance to interview him. I have seen the film. I love this film. I thought it was, I think a lot of us thought that it was reminiscent of early work of his father, David Cronenberg.
Absolutely, David Cronenberg. Yeah. The apple did not fall far from that tree on that one. Of course I did. Yes, it was, it's macabre, it's sexy. It stars Caleb Landry Jones and Sarah Gadon, and they're just, you know, delightfully good looking.
She is really, you picked her out last year on a CBC Live style roundup. I remember that she was kind of, well, nobody really at the time that A Dangerous Method came out. I mean, it was a film that belonged to Keira Knightley, and she played Michael Fassbender's wife in it, Carl Jung's wife.
Absolutely.
And she was just immaculate. Porcelain skin, red lips, which both you and I are rocking
today.
Oh,
yes, we do.
And I remember you picked her out as one of the to watch for style stars.
We called her an It Girl of 2012. There's something about her, and that's one of the things in the movie that you'll hear that makes her a celebrity.
And of both Cronenbergs like working with her, clearly.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've done a lot for Sarah. She's done a lot for them. And all this buzz about the film, because it's Canadian, because of the young stars, because it's Brandon Cronenberg, has been wearing Brandon a little thin. We talked to him on the red carpet last night. So here's what he had to say about promoting Antiviral and sharing it to with the world.
Looking forward to that.
Well, I'm really happy with how this turned out, but it's still, I've been working on it for a really long time, and I don't have any distance from it anymore, and I'm just sort of eager to get back into sitting in my underpants writing again for like a year.
All right, so there was Brandon. He is going to be on the show with us tomorrow. That's really exciting because we're going to get to talk to him in depth. Wow. You know, at the start of what is an incredible career, I think it's going to be. This was his directorial debut, his writing debut in feature films.
It's tough to believe that. It seems it's so smooth. It's such a sophisticated film. I mean, if this is the start, my goodness.
So speaking of Sarah Gadon, it's time for TIFF Star Style.
Excellent. Nice.
All right, some gorgeous ladies on the red carpet last night. This is the second time we're seeing our first lady of TIFF, Emily Blunt, on red carpets this season. Let's see what she was. Oh, no, we've got Rachel McAdams. Well, no, we do
we're
have
back to Emily.
Emily Blunt.
Oh, this is the edition full of my girl crushes. My goodness. Yes, I love everyone on this list.
This is the Arthur Newman premiere, and Emily's wearing Tory Burch, but now we're looking at a beauty shot, so I have to comment on the lips.
Yes.
Hot pink lips.
Yes.
It's great. You know, you're on the news every day. A strong lip is just great
and
for
also,
being
photographed. She has such prominent eyes. Her eyes are the first thing you notice on her face, that I feel like she goes with very light and natural eyes and a strong lip. It's a good look for her. The hair is back, I've noticed. On an earlier premiere that we saw last week of Looper, she had an ombre darker on top, sort of more blonde highlights at the bottom.
She's her color.
I think
well, you did your bangs.
I did my bangs.
TIFF, so.
I got to do some sort of pre-TIFF maintenance work. It's like a car.
Let's look at Laura Linney at the premiere of Hyde Hyde Park on the Hudson. She was there with Bill Murray, obviously. I wanted to bring this one up because she's wearing the peplum trend.
The peplum trend. The trend.
The trend of this season. Overdone almost to a certain point, but how can you not wear it when it is so flattering?
Yep.
Look at how nice of womanly shape that makes.
I thought she looked really great in it. I have to admit, because I'm curvy, I don't think it's a right look for me. I think there is a danger in peplum. There is an overuse of peplum, ladies. I think that if you are very kind of boyish, straight up and down, have more of her figure or say Keira Knightley's figure, great style. I think if you have naturally smaller waist and curvier hips, it overemphasizes things.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think it was great on her, and I think it wasn't a glamorous gown, but it was age appropriate. It was sophisticated, which she is.
She's such a beautiful woman, yeah.
All right, Sarah Gadon, our Canadian
we were gushing already. Golden goddess.
She is, and she is naturally. This is like a gold lace dress. We're kind of doing that sheer sleeve thing as well today. This is not my favorite on Sarah Gadon, just because the gold on her pale skin, I feel like she's a little washed out. However, the heels, she's always got the best heels.
Gold on blonde is tricky. I mean, you're blonde. Like, how do you deal with it? I find that it looks good on some people, like Charlize Theron, who have more of a golden.
But when she
tone.
does it, she might do a bustier. She might do strapless, just not entirely covered, especially when you look like her.
And when you're so young, she's in her 20s still.
Yes.
A tad matronly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of too much fabric. Let's see Rachel McAdams. I adore her, but I don't adore this dress. Beauty looks nice, but I mean, we've got one shot. There's a long draped going down the back. This is Elie Saab, and then in the front, it's a whole other modern cut. I just think that this was a dress that was an idea that didn't get finished.
Yeah,
that required editing.
What
do you think?
We've all been there. I totally agree with you. She is a strikingly beautiful woman. I've actually met her not in a TIFF context. I met her about 7 years ago because she was friends with CBC host Evan Solomon and Evan's wife, believe it or not. I saw them at a bar together, just hanging out.
We see her around Toronto all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, she is a local girl. She is one of the most naturally beautiful people I have ever seen. She is gorgeous. I think that dress does not emphasize her beauty, does not add any to it. I like her in old Hollywood, you know, wavy hair, strapless dress. When you're that beautiful, I think show it off. And I mean, she's really an actress in her prime right now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that dress didn't say that.
On that note, don't let the dress take you over. You're the star. She is an actress in her prime, and she's in 2 films at this festival.
That's right.
That was last night's premiere of To the Wonder that we just saw. And she also is in Passion, which is a sexy, erotic thriller premiere tonight.
Takes a brave actress to be in Brian De Palma film.
So she's a Canadian that really has become a huge superstar. We have a Canadian celebrity profile of Rachel to remind you all of how she got to be where she is. Let's check that out.
Love her.
It's hard to believe that Rachel McAdams will be 34 this year. That might be because she was actually 25 when she played a hot high school student in 2004's Mean Girls.
You could take that fake apology and shove it right up your hairy...
Canada had already taken notice of the London, Ontario native the year before that breakout role, when Rachel won a Gemini for her role in Slings and Arrows alongside Paul Gross.
Just gonna run lines, right? I mean, we're not gonna have sex.
And then it happened.
There is no easy way. No matter what I do, somebody gets hurt.
The movie everyone loved, the boyfriend everyone wanted, and one steamy MTV Movie Awards kiss. The all-Canadian relationship didn't last, but Rachel's success in Hollywood sure did. As a leading lady, she holds her own and then some in the biggest comedies, dramas, and adventures.
He's so knowledgeable, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not to mention Woody Allen's critically acclaimed Midnight in Paris, which co-starred her current beau, actor Michael Sheen. She's regularly seen in and around Toronto with the talented Welshman, and she's back for TIFF in 2 films. Terrence Malick's To the Wonder, co-starring Academy Award winners Ben Affleck and Javier Bardem, and Brian De Palma's erotic thriller Passion.
I admire you. Well, now I want to be loved.
It's so funny to see Rachel McAdams as Regina George in Mean Girls. That's where it all began. Speaking of beautiful women, we also got a chance to speak to Olga Kurylenko. She's Rachel McAdams and Ben Affleck's co-star in Terrence Malick's To the Wonder. You know, just the other night I was watching The Quantum of Solace. She was starring opposite Daniel Craig in that one, and I was wondering, for a Bond girl, I don't know what she's done since then. Well, she did Terrence Malick's film. So I think that that's good enough. Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to that clip of Olga Kurylenko that we got last night.
There was no script. I didn't see the script. Maybe Terry had it, but I never saw it. Terry just spoke to me. He just pitched me the story through his words and told me about my character. So everything I knew was what he told me. I never knew how it was going to end. So when I watched the movie, it was a surprise for me. I never knew what he told to the other characters. I only knew my character's view on them and how my character felt about them and what my feelings were, just like in real life. And the way he films is constant. There's never a break, there's never a pause. He just films from morning till evening. I was on set every single day. You basically become the character for the time being, and I was a character for 2.5 months.
Wow, what an interesting way to work. Terrence Malick has been uncharacteristically prolific in the last few years.
It took him less than 12 years to make a film.
I just want to point out to you, Deanna, if you didn't notice, and to everyone else, that we had a hard time getting the attention of our floor director when this clip was on to tell us when we were back. So thanks for that, Olga. All right, CBC News also got to sit down with the cast of The Sapphires. What a fun movie. I hear that there's Oscar buzz for this movie, a musical movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people loved Dreamgirls, and this seems to be kind of an Aussie version of Dreamgirls.
Absolutely. So this is Chris O'Dowd and the cast of The Sapphires.
From Bridesmaids, of course.
Absolutely.
The cute cop from Bridesmaids.
And he has something to say about not wanting to be typecast as that guy. Let's check that clip out.
You want to perform for the brothers in Vietnam, you gotta give them soul.
I wanted to surprise people a little bit, and also I didn't want to get stuck in a rut of kind of rom-com stuff, and it was just in the aftermath of Bridesmaids that this was given to me. So it seemed like a perfect fit, in terms of wanting to do something very different, making sure that I didn't get kind of typecast.
I heard it through the grapevine.
Can you make it sound blacker?
It's hard because he just throws things in, especially on that first day.
Oh, really?
And it was just the biggest icebreaker.
Yeah, well, for him to be able to, come all the way to Australia and know nothing about the culture and this story, it was just amazing for him to just, feel so comfortable around us, and that's what it was. It was straight into, doing a bit of the rehearsing, reading the script together around the table, and really getting, it was right into it, and he was just so warm and fuzzy, and just, we were like his little sisters, really.
All right, that was really fun. We're so happy now to have Rob Stewart with us. He is famous for directing Sharkwater, a movie that almost killed you. And now you have a bigger mission, not just to save sharks, but to save humanity. So can you tell us how that mission started out and how this film is going to help us do that?
By the time we were finished releasing Sharkwater, we'd met some of the world's top scientists, and they'd said, what you're doing with sharks is great, but you're missing the point. We're going to lose everything. And we quickly came to the realization that, by the middle of this century, we could face a world with no fish, no reefs, no rainforests, and 9 billion people on a planet that already can't feed 7 billion people. So it became really clear to me what our next movie had to be, and it had to be, save the humans kind of concept. And, I'm hoping that the same sort of reaction will happen that happened with Sharkwater, that if people are educated about these issues, that they'll go to bat to fight for ecosystems and species we depend on.
I was wondering how, really your mission was to change the PR for sharks, if you will, who have gotten, bad publicity as a species. Everybody thinks fondly of dolphins, but when sharks are in the news, it's often because somebody got bitten by a shark. And in Sharkwater, in your first film, which was one of the highest grossing Canadian documentaries ever, I believe, you really dispelled that myth. So for those of our viewers who might not have seen your first film, Sharkwater, explain to us what it is that you were trying to teach people about sharks.
Shark populations have dropped 90% in 30 years, and one of the reasons that that's happening is because nobody really cared about sharks previously. Movies like Jaws portrayed sharks as mindless killers and predators of human beings, and because of that,
not just didn't care about them, feared them, encouraged them,
and so when sharks were being wiped out, nobody really went to bat for sharks. So what I was hoping to do with Shark Water was to show the public the reality that sharks are magnificent animals that have been here for 400 million years, that are important not just for the oceans but for all life on Earth and for the very oxygen in the air that we breathe. And that maybe if the public saw my perception, they'd want to fight for shark protection.
Watching some scenes from it right now, I think.
What kind of impact did you see that film have?
Shark Water ended up doing quite a bit of good, actually. You know, spawning a dozen shark conservation groups. The number of countries that banned shark finning went from 16 to more than 100. There are more than 40 territories, including Toronto, that have entirely banned shark fins, where it's illegal to have a shark fin in your hand. So, you know, it proved to us sort of that humanity's good. You know, that people will go to bat to fight for the ecosystems we depend on if they're educated about the issue.
As someone who's, I'm so terrified. Jaws terrified me of, you know, the ocean, and you know, like James Bond films make me terrified of the pool sometimes. And watching your documentary, just you mentioned how you swam with sharks so much and nothing ever happened to you, and you gave great statistics, so I think it changed my perception. Now tell us about the revolution that you're starting next.
Well, right now, what we've been doing for the last 250 years is basically destroying the world we depend on for survival. The reason why we can survive on planet Earth is because of life. It's life that gives us our food, our water, and our air, and we're really doing some serious damage to that, and the corporations and systems and governments we've set up are continuing to destroy that. So it's going to take a revolution or something bigger than a revolution to turn it around. And I'm hoping that by educating kids particularly, they'll go to bat and they'll hit the streets and they'll start fighting for their future, because it's their future that's at stake.
And tell me about promoting this film at TIFF. I mean, here you are, a guy who spent a lot of his life underwater and also attending eco-conferences, finding out sometimes of how little value they are. That's really the part about your films. And your book, you actually have a book that's kind of a book version of Revolution as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it, how does it feel being here at TIFF? You're a bit of, I wanted to say a fish out of water, but maybe that's a cheesy pun here. But I mean, this is not your, I saw you the other night at Producer's Ball at the Shangri-La Hotel with all these kind of like, you know, slick movie types, and you seem just like a guy who's passionate about your cause. How does it feel to be here among people like Rachel McAdams and Ben Affleck and everybody else who's in town?
I mean, we need this message heard as fast as possible by as many people as possible. And, you know, film is sort of the pinnacle of the human art form at the moment. And if you make a film, hundreds of millions, billions of people perhaps could see it. So for me to, you know, usher in the kind of change we need in the world and to get as many people as possible to hear the message and know what's actually going on, I've got to be in the movie industry. And, you know, it comes with a lot of fun. The Toronto Film Festival
doesn't it?
Amazing.
It's a hard job.
And this film, I mean, we did read that this film turned you from filmmaker to activist. But as Deanna said, you spend a lot of time, you know, underwater making films. So can you, I know you almost died. We all know the stories about shark water and how you almost died. We've seen you on Strombo. If anyone wants to check that out, strombo.com, search his name. Can you tell us what went down in the making of Revolution? Any crazy stories to share?
There's a few crazy stories in the making of Revolution. We filmed Revolution over 4 years in 15 countries. So we were in the middle of the jungle, we were underwater. I had some crazy eye infection from pollution in Asia and had to have an eye operation at one point. It'll all be in the making of, but didn't actually.
You made a motion like you were about to gouge your eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I saw a swab in the, under the eyelid.
Yeah, we actually had that in the movie at one point to see what would happen. It was just too gory and people were freaking out and some people fainted when they saw it. So
eye things freak a lot of people.
Yeah, totally.
So when we watch your films, our instinct is to ask ourselves, what do we do?
The most important thing is awareness. You know, right now, the governments, corporations, and our behaviors are going on running amok because people don't know what's going on. If people knew what was happening, if they knew that their consumption patterns, their behaviors, their governments, their corporations were destroying the world we depend on for survival, they'd make different decisions. They'd elect different people and they'd support different companies. So, you know, in every revolution of the past, be it cultural, racial, gender equality, everybody knew the kind of change we needed in the world. And right now, everybody needs to be on the same page so we can make this kind of change.
Well, besides watching Revolution, how do we equip ourselves with that information?
Watch Revolution, read Save the Humans, our book, and, you know, get educated. The internet is a wealth of resources. Okay. There's over 1 million non-governmental organizations and charities and conservation groups around the world that are working for good to protect ecosystems and species, and they're all understaffed and underfunded and need your help. And they all are a wealth of resources of information about what's actually going on out there.
Great. Can you remind our audience how to check out your site?
Yes, visit therevolutionmovie.com and unitedconservationist.org.
What's up next for you?
Next is going to be probably a year and a half of PR of this movie, running around, getting people to see it. I want to get 1 billion people to see Revolution.
This is the activist part.
That's my goal.
I like that. That's a good goal, though, because Sharkwater was one of those films that were, like, everybody I know has seen that film, which is so rare for a documentary. Now, being here at TIFF, are you hoping that maybe you can lure in somebody like a Harvey Weinstein or somebody else to help?
Totally.
I heard that guy has a lot of money. I mean, that's
I heard he has a lot of money,
yeah.
too.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe if he's got some kids, he cares about the future enough to get involved.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You know, this is a movie made for people. You know, it's made to support human life on Earth. It's made for our future, and I think it's going to take people that have a vested interest in the future, people that have kids and know, you know, what the world's going to look like when they're adults, and have a real concern for that, to step up and get involved.
Just wanted to say quickly, you were actually quite bold in taking quite a strong stance about Canada's disengagement from the Kyoto Accord. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how did you hear anything back from the government? Was there any repercussion from that?
We'll see when the movie hits.
He doesn't want to reveal it yet.
Yeah. The Revolution premieres tomorrow night, so we'll see what the reaction is from the governments and the powers that be to the statement that we're making. But, you know, I think the overwhelming sentiment of the public is on our side. You can't be destroying our life support system for the sake of short-term profits, especially knowing what we know, knowing the science is out there. We know that the carbon we put into the atmosphere gets absorbed by the oceans. The oceans are 30% more acidic than they were 100 years ago, and phytoplankton that gives us most of the oxygen in the air that we breathe has dropped 40%. So, you know, this is our life support system. This is our survival. You know, we can't
Like
put
you said,
profits
it's not
ahead.
just an ecosystem anymore. We're talking about all of humanity at risk. So thank you so much for making these films and trying to help us save ourselves. There's not a trailer for the film, but you can go to tiff.net if you want to check out its times at TIFF. We have a clip that we pulled from YouTube, so we're going to take a look at that because you draw us in and capture our attention as well with your beautiful cinematography. So here's a short clip, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Joining us. Yeah.
Hannon and I set out on an expedition to Papua New Guinea, Coral Eden, to meet the godfather of coral and learn about ocean acidification. Papua New Guinea is one of the least explored but most culturally diverse places on Earth. There are 841 languages and cultures 10,000 years old. Some still shrunk heads and ate people till only recently.
All right, what a great and intelligent young guy.
Great guy. I know people like that always make me feel like I have not done enough with my time here on Earth.
You're spreading the word, Deanna. You're
It's
spreading
true,
the word.
We are the bridge.
That's what they
Yeah.
need. So let's take a look at what's trending at TIFF.
Sure.
All right, join me on the MacBook, Deanna.
There we go.
We'll share some of the latest links. All right, so we're looking at PerezHilton.com right now, just because he was speculating that James Franco and Kristen Stewart hooked up at TIFF. Now, so he's got a picture of them and said, you know, that he was spotted with Selena Gomez in Venice, and at TIFF it was Kristen Stewart.
Wait, didn't James Franco have a longtime girlfriend who was an actress, but she wasn't famous? Like, he was this guy that really wanted to stay out of the spotlight?
Well, and Selena Gomez has a boyfriend who we know very well.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
It's not as if he's stealing her away
Right.
from Bieber anytime soon. So it just goes to show, with all these celebrities partying at the Soho House till late at night, it's a lot of fodder for the gossip columnists.
It definitely is. I have to say, I mean, I was at that carpet with Kristen Stewart. She seemed to me, not that you can emotionally gauge somebody in like a 3-minute conversation. I don't know that she's ready to move on. She seemed anxious, uncomfortable, certainly nervous that people will ask her about the RPAT split. And,
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know that she is in that next relationship state yet. But what do I know?
And if it's James Franco, well, he's pretty charming. All right, so some interesting documentary, you know, Rob Stewart is a documentary filmmaker. There were some other interesting ones at the festival this year.
From my pal
Jay-Z and Will Smith, and Jared Leto, your pal?
Yeah, my pal Jared Leto. Actually, I I interviewed him a few years ago. He's a delightfully quirky fellow.
Wow, he wants you to vote for his film, Artifact the Film. So he wants the People's Choice Award and Documentary Award from TIFF. Goes to show how those awards are really sought after, even by people who are fully established. So he must be passionate about this project.
Absolutely. He does a lot. I mean, he has a band, he's an actor, now he has a documentary out, and he wore those fingerless gloves when I interviewed him. It was very, very odd. Yeah.
He's had no eyebrows, fingerless gloves. It's okay, we allow him that. All right, Sarah Gadon tweeted yesterday about her director and antiviral, Brandon Cronenberg. This is just how tired Brandon Cronenberg is of doing press. So we're gonna give him some special juice tomorrow, maybe to get him. We
gotta give him some CBC Live juice tomorrow.
All right, this is fun. Filterstar.tumblr.com caught pictures of this very secret Sapphires after party.
Oh, I love the secret parties.
Chris ODowd. Now I'm just gonna scroll down to the really fun ones where Chris ODowd caught up with not a busker, but this guy sells party lights in the clubbing district.
In
he
my
looks like
imagination,
he's giving out tickets to the
Chris
party.
O'Dowd is always like this. Party on, Chris O'Dowd.
This is the one that makes me really want to hang out with this guy. And last but not least, Eli Roth tweeted after being on the show with Strombo.
Our second favorite Eli after Glasner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing time with that Strombo this morning. Such a fun interview. We covered it all from Streisand to Rotten Fruit to Aftershock. So fun. If you want to get tickets to Strombo, go to cbc.ca/Strombo. Also visit cbc.ca/Q because, you know, those are the two guys that are getting a lot of celebrity TIFF interviews in their studios, and they are posting them on their websites. All right, what is happening tonight, Deanna?
I am shortly after this, actually. I'm just going to maybe change an outfit, maybe not. I'll see how I feel. And go to we have two big red carpets planned for tonight. I am going to the one for Great Expectations with Helena Bonham Carter.
How many film versions of Great Expectations have you seen so far?
The one that I remember most is the one with Gwyneth Paltrow and Ethan Hawke. At the time that I had a massive crush on Ethan Hawke. That was a hauntingly beautiful film.
Well, yes.
Absolutely. You're thinking of the scene of her drinking water from a little fountain. So I'm looking forward to this red carpet tonight. I mean, it's been a year of epic novels making it to film. Anna Karenina, Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children, and now The Great Expectations. These are not just any books to film. These are, you know, era-defining novels. And another one that's also on earlier on tonight is Inescapable. That's a sort of a hotly anticipated film by Ruben Ada, Canadian director who previously did Cairo Time. This one has links into Syria. It deals with a father and daughter and leaving Syria, so of course it's straight out of the news headlines. Ruben Ada is somebody people really love here. I mean, Cairo Time was really popular, so our friend Zulaika Natu is going to be covering that red carpet.
Great. I saw the film, so I can't wait to hear them talk more about it. And Rachel McAdams is taking a really sexual turn she seems to be a dominatrix in this in Passion with Noomi Rapace.
I mean, I respect her for it. Brian De Palma has been accused by some of being extremely sexist, of being misogynist, that women in his films tend to be, there's always sex and violence intermingled in a way that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So I applaud Rachel McAdams for her boldness in going into this territory. I'm curious how critics will receive this, though.
It's nice to do something different, too, for actors. All right, and again, tomorrow we have Brandon Cronenberg with us.
Amazing.
We're so excited. And we'll be looking at some of the best festival moments so far. We've saved some really great stuff. We're only talking to you for half an hour every day, and CBC News is just covering so much, so we've got some really great clips left. All right, continue to check us out at CBC Live. At CBC Live on Twitter, cbc.ca/live if you're watching this stream somewhere else. Follow at CBC Arts. You saw Deanna's Twitter handle in
Deanna Sumanak.
Yes, you saw it in the lower third. And for all your CBC TIFF coverage, to go to cbc.ca/TIFF. Yep. We'll be back here at 12:30 Eastern Time tomorrow. Deanna, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. This
Rock
was so
those
much
red
fun.
carpets tonight.
I will. You too.
Bye, guys. We'll see you
Bye.
tomorrow.